because I saw you guys talk at RDC,
Yeah,
and I was always wondering who the hell is making Nightland, or who the hell is making this tennis Wimbledon. Oh that's the gang, I think. No, the
yeah.
gang made Wimbledon. But I noticed that there's a specific style that Dubit have, and I'm mostly a fan of that flat design, and I could do that flat design with my eyes closed. So I was like, you know what, I'll actually try, applying for Dubit. I'll try to see if I could do that because I love the style of whatever's going on at Dubit, and they're doing Samsung, Nightland, so quite interesting branded events. And yeah, I love branded events. Branded events is just brands on Roblox as a whole. It's always been my dream as a child to build brands for Roblox. So Dubit's kind of got the vision that I have. So
Yeah, well, that's
yeah.
great. I mean, you will probably love the new platform and concept we'll be launching early next year, which is called builders.io.
Oh,
Um,
really? You guys are making your own platform?
so we're making our own platform. So it's not a platform like Roblox. It's a platform it's like the new place to be if you want to build the metaverse. So
I would
you'll
see.
find there some builders of Roblox, but also Fortnite, Minecraft, Core, Manticore, etc.,
That's
etc.,
awesome.
and soon Zepeto. So
Yeah.
it's like the perfect place for builders, where you can uh, find and meet some friends, find and meet some other developers and builders to team up and build some
That's awesome.
experiences. It's the perfect place to get some tools from Dubbit,
Mm.
because we will test and try and also put on the platform lots of tools from other companies. We'll also put some assets of our own, so you can
Yeah.
build. For example, if you want to build a concert for a
Mhm.
customer,
That's the
you
place
can.
where you go for the
Yeah,
tools and
you can
assets, items, people.
exactly,
That's
and
awesome.
you can build. Thanks to builders, you will be able to get the assets from concerts and build a concert in maybe 3 weeks instead of 3 months, because we've done
That's
this a
awesome.
few times and it took 3 months each time. But
Yeah.
now we have the
Infrastructure, yeah.
now we have the
That's
script
awesome.
and the assets and everything. um yeah,
That's
that's the concept. So
That is so interesting. I'm excited to see what Duba comes up with next year.
yeah,
I I need.
think
Oh
it's
yeah,
gonna be
sorry. Yeah,
great.
yeah. I need to keep up on LinkedIn because you guys are posting there all sorts of stuff. A lot of stuff from Duba. I follow a lot of stuff on Duba. For on LinkedIn. I'm in the whole ecosystem of like these just branded stuff. So um yeah, and
Yeah,
Oliver.
LinkedIn
Yeah, sorry.
is very serious and kind of old fashioned, but it's very efficient.
Yes, yes, yes. What was Dubit? I remember Dubit saying at RDC that they've been making virtual experiences for brands, but what were those platforms before Roblox? Do you
Oh,
happen to
so
know?
before Roblox, it was tailor-made apps or web games, web apps. So
Mm,
it was not in the metaverse, but it was yeah, custom-made stuff for brands.
oh, I see. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, Debit has, well, the growth is so fast. We've hired 120 people in the last 12 months.
That's
So
wild.
yeah, it's wild, but obviously mainly because so many brands want to go in the metaverse and specifically on Roblox. I mean, the market
Yeah.
is very big, and this is why
It's
we're
huge.
launching this builders.io stuff.
Mm,
It's because we want better experiences and to make them faster. So we need some talented people from all over the world connecting on the platform to build the metaverse. I mean, right now it's well, some studios are organized like a few that you mentioned, but it's not enough to build.
Mm.
Well, the potential is huge. Can you tell us a little about yourself, maybe?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, so I own an online store called freeflowstore.net. It's an asset store where you can purchase Roblox creations with US dollars. The goal is to create assets which are mostly free and affordable, and to make assets more accessible to Roblox developers, especially developers who are starting out. They can look through a whole variety of assets that they can play around with or purchase for their own games, and it's completely free of copyright use or anything. And you could just simply use the assets as you please. And it's obviously to create to increase the speed in which you can create an experience, of which is quite important. Time matters. That's our main goal, though, is just providing assets to creators at an affordable pricing. Because you know I look on the Unity store and sometimes I see something for over $50, and then I just wonder, I could buy a full game for that. So yeah, it's all about accessibility and empowering creators and enabling them to use assets as they please. Yeah.
That's great. And what's your favorite asset? Like, do you
Oh,
have a specific style or or what's your bestseller? Or even if it's free, what's the bestseller?
um, I would say in terms of like my favorite assets are just the fully pre-built games. We actually sell fully pre-built games that are actually fully
Really?
established, which you can
Okay.
buy. Yes. Um, they're most of which in miniature in scale, but um, it's primarily just because of the density of assets and the amount of value that you can get out of those assets is astounding, especially for the price. So any sort of simulator map that we kind of sell is primarily just what we is what is essentially most of my favorite type of assets, because as I said, it's like plug and play almost. You could
Yeah,
buy it, and I mean, if you got the coding knowledge, you can really just get going with it immediately. Um, so yeah, but the freeflowstore.net isn't it's not going to be available for this year. The site is established and up. We're still making quite a few fixes and everything. We're looking to get it operating next year. Um,
okay.
so far, yeah. I wouldn't recommend buying just yet. It's still a work in progress, but yeah, the site is functional. We just got to fix up quite a bit of few things, but yeah, just
Well, that's
clarifying that.
amazing. It's exactly what we want to provide. This kind of service we want to provide on builders.io. For example, we'll give our point of view on your best assets and just
Mm,
give the link to your store and say you should use this and that, and maybe you would like to use an AI generator.
yeah.
We've tested 10 images AI generators. We've tested 3 video ones, etc., etc. So it's say you're a developer or you're a 3D artist or what we call builder. You're a builder of the metaverse. When you start your computer in the morning, you just connect to our platform because you get
Mm,
the news of the whole thing, of the
that's
whole
awesome.
ecosystem and community. You get your messages, you get the new stuff we've tested, and also you get assets and tips and customers. So it's like your new desktop because this is where you work and you
Yeah.
develop on Roblox for a living. So
And
that's what
what you
we
said.
will
Oh yeah,
provide
sorry.
next year.
And that's fascinating. And I think that's what it's mostly about in the digital space as a whole. And it's all about technically engineering. How can we solve a problem? How can we make things easier for people? How can we make branded experiences more accessible? How can we make, all sorts of assets more accessible to others? And how can we provide value? The value that you provide matters a lot. And that's primarily the main fundamentals that, what you're actually describing there. And I think I'm really excited for the space of virtual assets as a whole, and seeing where that goes. I'm fascinated with virtual assets. So I'm absolutely a fan of what you guys are doing. So
Thank you
we'll
so
see how
much.
that goes. But yeah, yeah,
Well,
great.
yeah, I mean, the main, I think our main spirit is we're not building anything until the community tells us it's useful or it's cool,
Yeah,
or sometimes we just test some ideas on our Discord,
yeah,
and um, most of the time we get incredible feedbacks, and we say, well, this is something that is needed, and we have to do that. So it's yeah, I think it's the whole community idea of Roblox. It's,
yeah.
I mean, developers
Excited
on
for that.
Roblox are quite a
Mm,
team already. They obviously don't know them
yeah,
most of the time. This is why we want to provide also some team skills. Like if
yeah,
you want to team up, where to find the best 3D artists for comic style game, or
yeah,
I mean electronic music for an obby, or well,
yeah.
this is the guy, and
I mean,
you know
to
what I mean.
tie into primarily why community and having to create assets is so important. Because I mean, just to give a little bit of background of what I do, I'm a Roblox developer. I work full time on Roblox. I have my own miniature studio where I test my own games and things like that. And I also do commission work. I do commission work for all sorts of projects and games and things like that. And virtual assets are so important in how we scale up our projects. It's essential, and to be able to and to be able to have some sort of community driven platform or community driven work in which people could share work that's easily accessible, so we can all scale up our projects like really fast and get them out as soon as possible, for all sorts of things like testing, etc. I think that's a very valuable business model. And I myself, I've done things from scratch, and it's been rough. I've been on the platform for 11 years now. I've done all sorts of methods of creating projects. I've done trial and error. I've failed so many times. I've just failed immense amount of times. And if I could recall, I think one of the questions was, what would I do if I went back into the past, right? What would I tell myself? What would I, how would I improve? Like what would I tell myself in the past? Um, and what I would really say is, I would just tell myself first, don't be afraid to fail. I've failed plenty of times. Failure is just a part of life. You're just gonna have to deal with it. Um, and second of all, just always look for new ways to innovate. Just, even if you work on a project and it fails, you still learned from something from that. You still grew from that. And it's all led up to this point now where I'm fascinated in platforms that can also help and enable creators to get a better creative vision. And those are platforms that I'm very interested in. So
Well, that's a great piece of advice for new generation. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
if you have a quick analysis on your failures, did you have any support then when you started, or what was missing, or what would you need, what would you love to have
yeah.
now to help you?
Well, first, as you described, a platform where creators can find each other for certain projects and help each other. Um, Back then, I started my first major game development project with a friend of mine back in 2018. And it was an utter disaster. It was terrible. Like, very poor management. Just like insane amounts of lack of planning. Very just poor management, and but obviously this is just the first process of having to try and find out game development. And I was like only 18 or 18 years old. I'm 21 now. And I was just finding out, I was just trying to figure out how to run a development studio. And back then the developer forums on Roblox was actually quite quiet. Um, it felt a bit barren, but maybe that was just me not using it properly. But I can't even recall. But I finding developer resources and all that type of stuff. Um, not a lot of people actually shared a lot of stuff either. It was kind of just survival for the fittest. But I know for a lot of these days, a lot of indie developers, they share assets, they help other people, they teach methods, and I think that's very critical to growing as a developer. And I've learned a couple of stuff. I've messed around with Unity and all that type of stuff, with Unreal as well, but not for a very long time. Roblox is very scalable, and that's what's really important. But in terms of like the failures that I've had, um, I think I can attribute quite a bit of my failure to just lack of experience and just lack of knowledge and lack of connections. I would also tell myself that I need to connect more. I need to connect with creators. I need to, find people that have the same ideas as me. Um, but in short, the whole studio just collapsed in on itself, and I just eventually just left, and that was about it. And then I just started my own journey as a independent creator, and I've done commission work ever since, and I've done work for branded experiences and just overall game experiences as a whole.
Great. And where do you find team members now?
Um, Usually when I'm looking for team members, I primarily look on. Sometimes I usually scope out on Twitter because Twitter's absolutely fantastic for finding talent. It's a great place where you can display your talents. Um, I wasn't actually very prominent on Twitter either before. In like back in 2018, I didn't know where to necessarily find people at all. Project hiring for Roblox, the whole Roblox community is on Twitter, so you can hire anyone almost from Twitter.
Yeah.
um, and then also, there's LinkedIn as well, but that's obviously for the more professional side. That's obviously I'd recommend LinkedIn if you already have a full-on team already or an established project, because obviously more experienced developers are there, or people who have more business oriented experience. Um, so I would look on there as well, although I haven't hired from LinkedIn yet. But yeah, I look on Twitter. I think Twitter is absolutely great. Maybe TikTok's maybe a stretch, but it's just not really it's just not like Twitter. There's nothing like Twitter, not that I know of. I guess there's a few platforms that try to be like Twitter, but yeah. So yeah, Twitter's my best answer. Or the dev forums. You could check on the dev forums as well.
Yeah.
Um, I would say the dev forums have become very quite inconsistent as of recent. It's primarily just because it's just more of a. I would say there's more. I would say there's less moderation. So sometimes it's harder to find specific things, and there's a lot more people in the dev forums now than ever before. So it's a larger ecosystem of creators, but then I think the value of creators also goes down because how many creators are on the dev forums. There's quite a bit of creators on the dev forum, prominently, all sorts of age, young, old. But for the majority of the dev forums, I think it's more of a younger demographic, but primarily just Twitter's where I would go.
Well, that's great. And can you tell us about your games? And you mentioned some branded experiences.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
which brands and where did you find the brands? How did you connect? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Okay, so in terms of games, um, I'm by no means like a massively successful Roblox developer. Just want to clarify that. In terms of games, um, but primarily because I just use games as a form of experimentation. I've made like 3 small little games this year with a friend of mine, and he programs. I do not program, but he programs. I also do some team management as well. So we made a game called Ragdoll Simulator X, which is like just like the ultimate form of a ragdoll game on Roblox. More satisfying. You get more out of it when you ragdoll. You can rack up points where you can get items and cool things that you can use to ragdoll yourself more, and all sorts of things like that. And we made a game with it's called Silly Swords. where you just have a sword that's attached to your arm permanently, but it's like a ragdoll sword, and you just have to move around and swing the sword randomly until you hit somebody, and hopefully that you kill someone. And obviously gain XP and all that type of stuff. And there's a small little arena, and then there's the Donation Plaza. Now, it's a game where you actually can actually donate like actual Robux to people and all sorts of things like that. Like, it actually has a functioning sort of economic system built in with it. And you could set up your own plot and stand and everything. I mean, there's quite a few of them like that, but we wanted to see if we could replicate that, and we managed to do it quite well. And yeah, so my studio's name is Pixel Byte. It's quite small. Making games is more of a side hobby to me than it is for commissions and working for branded experiences, but I still love making games. I might not be a true game developer at heart, but I still really do enjoy making games. Like, with people, I love working with people. It's one of my favorite things in the world. Working with people is my favorite thing. So yeah, that's just more my game development side. So apart from my failed history, uh,
Yeah,
where
that's
I've
fine.
just failed, and then I would consider that successful. We made 3 miniature experiences within just a few months. Actually, they were quite small, and it's obviously better to create a ton of smaller experiences and spread out as much as you can. Throw something at the wall and see what sticks. Okay, and yeah, in terms of branded experiences, I recently
Yeah.
worked on the Carly Kloss Fashion Closet, which is a Roblox. It was a Roblox experience, which Carly Kloss, I think she's a famous supermodel, and she's like in $1 billion industry, top, like one of the most amazing fashion models of all time. And she has this huge brand of just clothing and virtual clothing and all that sort of stuff. And I worked with Sawhorse Productions. Sawhorse Productions is the company behind a lot of branded events on Roblox. I think they recently hosted the Stranger Things watch party as of recent, and they did the Elton John event as well. So I've worked hand in hand with Sawhorse Productions and the team. And yeah, Carly Class is something that I really did enjoy working on. Uh, the Carly Class Fashion Closet was like a hub of where you could buy clothing and all sorts of stuff, but you had to teleport from games to the hub. So we partner with all sorts of games, Roblox in high school. Um, I'm not exactly sure what that one was where you have to dance with music. Robeats, I think it was Robeats. And all sorts of branded experiences. And what I did was I built the portals that went into the main experience. So I was responsible for building like the structured portals that would lead to the branded experience and stuff like that. So I made a few of those, and I worked on one of the pop-up worlds for clothing and all that type of stuff. That was an absolutely blast, and it just gave me so much of a different perspective of brands on Roblox, and I absolutely enjoyed doing that. And yeah, brands and creating experiences for brands on Roblox is just now my favorite thing in the world. So
Okay.
absolutely love it.
Do you have maybe commissions or just plans on going any Christmas theme projects or
Um,
this year?
not Christmas theme project. However, I
No?
think I can tell you about one commission I'm doing.
Oh yeah.
It's actually quite a large project, but I guess I could describe what it is. I can't like give any specific details, but it's more like a Pokemon structured game, like with like an open sort of environment and world where you can catch creatures and stuff like that, battle them against each other and that type of stuff. So that's a very exciting commission I'm working on. I guess I could say the Twitter handle. It's on Twitter. It's called Bloxmon. Uh, called
Okay.
Bloxmon. It's on Twitter, and yeah, I'm working on that. I guess, yeah.
That's
But
great.
yeah,
So,
and
what are you specifically doing? Like, what's your job in the team?
environmental design and environmental work. Primarily just getting colors for the environment, ensuring that the environment feels dense and it feels alive.
Yeah.
Ensuring that the game has a solid color palette. Using my basic fundamentals of art to ensure that the everything is feels seamless and appealing to the eyes, of course. And that's what environmental design is all about. It's like it's about creating eye candy games, eye candy worlds, eye candy. It's art. It's a form of art and game development. That's what I love about it. And I love art. Back in high school, I studied art, and that's kind of where my environmental design kind of I would say probably my techniques and what I use is just probably what I've all learned about art in high school. And that's where I usually apply my skills and all that type of stuff. But
Okay.
yeah, that's where I have to apply those skills in using environmental art to make sure this game looks great.
That's
Yeah.
great. Is there a release date for this?
No, no,
No,
unfortunately, no. No, no.
not yet.
But
Well, I
yeah.
can't wait. So, what do you think about the Builders.io platform? Well, you told us what you thought about it, and we have a great footage
Mm,
of that. But
yeah.
well, do you have maybe any idea of how you will use the most? Is it to meet people? Is it to team up for jobs? Is it to connect with brands for bigger brand experiences? Is what? How do you think you will use the Builders.io platform?
Honestly, for me personally, I think connection helps a lot. Um, as a young developer, when I was 18, just trying to figure things out, um, I didn't really I just felt like I didn't really search for much resources. And I feel like if we make it clear that resources are available for specific developers to learn and grow, I think it's essential that that platforms like these will be able to like grow because of that as a result. I think it's primarily just resources and connections, and I think that can beautifully work together beautifully in tandem. I think that could be um, I think because that's what it's about. Sometimes when you're on Twitter, I mean, it's kind of how the Roblox community is, right? You go on Twitter, you post development work on Twitter, and then it gets a couple of likes, and you know what I'm saying. So people retweet it. That in itself is a creation, but it's also being fueled by the community. So it's community and creation working together in tandem, and I think it's kind of, if you can share your work and you can get something out of that, that in itself is very important because you get value out of that. You get attention out of that. You feel seen. You know what I'm saying? And so I mean, feeling seen and feeling valid because of your creations and what you do is your hobby and your passion is is important. And having a platform, yeah, as you said, where you can. I'm not exactly sure if it's necessarily community created, but suppose it, like, for example, creations. I don't know if the creations are created on your side only, or the community also creates stuff. Um,
Community, yeah, yeah.
but yeah, that is quite valuable. I think it's also why Sketchfab is also quite successful, right? I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of Sketchfab. They have like a
Yep.
whole 3D community, deviant art. It's all, and
Yep.
when you can gain value out of posting a creation, it's immensely, uh, I would say it's immensely valuable to a lot of people. So
Yeah. So
uh, it's
part
creation and community.
yeah, okay. Thanks. And part of our job will be um to try and make it easier for developers to pick the perfect assets in
Mm.
DeviantArt or other
Or all sorts of
asset
platforms.
stores, and how to make it easy to plug in Roblox and I don't know. If
Yeah.
you're looking for some specific asset, well, we've
Yeah.
just tested 100 of them.
Yeah.
So just pick your favorite. But these are our three favorites. I don't know. Like
That's it.
car models or
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
any dynamic or any shades or well.
Yeah.
And so as you said, this is your full-time job, and
Yeah.
how do you see your career path?
It's well, I mean, I would say the short answer is just to continue working on myself and just learning and experiencing more things with all different types of people, and connecting with people, and growing and learning new skills is essentially the most one of the most key fundamental things when you want to grow yourself and your career as a whole. And I suppose I would just probably take months off just to work on myself. That's kind of what I usually did when I was learning how to do stylistic foliage. I was just messed around for 2 months straight, and I was like, this kind of looks weird, and then I just put this piece together, and it usually all comes together. Um, but yeah, one of the great ways to grow yourself is to actually just focus on nothing else but that one specific thing you want to do for that whole month or 2 months or something. And it's rather get better to just get it done in one sitting. Of course, not everyone has that. Not everyone has that sort of luxury to do that. But if
Yeah.
anyone's ever possible to do that, it's highly recommended. It's kind of like meditation. You just go out into your own zone. You block out the world. You block out everything around you. Block out what's happening, and you just focus on that one sole thing that you want to achieve, that one style that you want to learn, or you want to study the colors, patterns on something. And soon enough, if you do that quite often, those aspects of what you studied will just grow onto you, and it'll apply onto your work in future. So I actually probably plan to do that more, just sort of go on a hiatus to just find myself numerous times over and over and over again, and probably reinvent what I've already done and just work on myself. So
Well,
and of
what
course,
what
just meeting new people along the way as well. So.
what
Yeah.
you've described is super cool because, well, I totally understand, because that's what I do 5 days per month. Every
Mm.
every month I go away 5 days on my own, and
Wow.
I just do this. Usually I go really not far away from home, but in a different country. I go
Yeah.
really. I leave the country, and I just, yeah. So I've never thought of that, but we can call it meditation. But it's
Yeah.
just I'm focused on some stuff, and I mean it makes
Yeah.
things way easier. So I think that's
Yeah.
an amazing advice. As you said, if you have the luxury to do it,
Yeah.
it's a
Recommend it.
great advice. Yeah, I recommend
Mm.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, external experiences outside of the outside world, or just learning something new, or actually, I think I would also tell that to myself in the past, is just don't block out experiences that come to you in some shape or form. Sometimes even if you're not going to feel comfortable, if you're not going to enjoy it, it doesn't matter. That experience is going to shape you. It's going to change your perspective. It's going to change your mind in some shape or form. Real world lived in experiences, or just focusing on something else entirely, or as I said, just primarily just focusing on a skill or anything that you would love to learn, and that you want to achieve. And even if sometimes, even if it's agonizing, that pain will shape you. Like it's every start is painful. It's not easy to just start game development on a whim. There's actually quite a lot of stuff you have to analyze and study around you. You have to know the community. You have to know all sorts of things. Um, and yeah, I would just say it's just such a crucial experience. It's just really important that we isolate ourselves once in a while. Isolation is just the purest form of thinking, I think. Um, yeah.
Yeah. And because we think the same way,
Mhm.
we will do some conferences next year, and
Oh,
probably tour around the world and do 3 or 4 different dates.
Yeah.
So people from different parts of the world can connect, because obviously it's quite hard for non-US residents to
Yeah.
head to RDC. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, it costs an arm and a leg for me, that's for sure.
yeah, it's crazy, of course.
All the way halfway across the world. It's all the way from South Africa to the United States. That's actually
Yeah,
quite a far distance. Like, yeah,
it
it's
is.
quite insane. So I
So
don't mind at all.
yeah,
Let's
well,
all do that.
we think that it's great to connect people
True.
around workshops, and
Yes, yes.
um, because we think it has to be fun, super fun.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, is it a conference? I'm not sure. It's probably more
Yeah.
workshops, and
Yeah.
meet
Yeah.
people and meet developers you've been working with.
Yes.
And where should we um, organize the event? Well,
Yeah.
probably not in
Yeah.
a conference room, but more, I don't know, in a,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Any place significant, any
any
place awesome.
any
Any
fun
awesome
place,
place. Yes, exactly.
you know?
Maybe a water park, who knows? Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Absolutely.
cool. Well, that's
Well,
awesome that connecting people together, and that's awesome.
I,
That's
I think
oh
this
yeah.
is fundamental and uh,
Yeah.
missing a bit,
Mm,
because of
yeah.
course it's amazing to team up with people all around the world that is so efficient, and um,
Yeah.
we can obviously chat on Discord and on Zoom, and but
Mm,
at some point something's missing. So
mm,
maybe all year long it's fine to work like this, but once a year, if
yeah.
you can meet
Need that human
with people.
connection once in a while.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's important. Yeah. You
exactly.
know,
Yeah,
it's almost just as like sometimes it's also great to just go take a walk. When you're feeling overwhelmed as well, and isolation by yourself, but at least even if you're isolated, you still got something to connect with. It's the environment around you. But and then the second thing, of course, is just people. Sometimes people can really remind you about like what an awesome thing you're doing. All the creations and all the stuff that you're working on.
yeah,
The age of the internet has really changed the way we communicate and made everything so much more efficient and so much more interconnected. We can connect so much better than before in history. And the amount of emotions that we can take in through just a physical screen is insane. Like just like a flat screen, you're looking at a flat screen, but the fact that you can take in and evoke just like emotions, and the screen and you kind of like have a connection somehow, even though it's just a flat screen. It just tells you how insanely connected we actually are. But yes, the grounded experience does matter. Yeah. Yeah.
that's great. Do you have something else, a question or a specific subject you'd like to raise?
Hmm.
It's, I mean, or a new project you'd love to promote. I don't know.
Uh, not for the most part. Maybe I could probably plug my Twitter in. My Twitter is at DevForHireRBX. Yeah, at DevForHireRBX.
Right.
And yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter. For the most part, I'm just active there. Usually posting creations, just and all sorts of stuff like that. And yeah, just working on projects all the time. Quite busy, but yeah, just working on all these projects left and right. Just all this stuff, like the Pokemon one, for example, like where you catch creatures and all sorts of stuff like that. Um, just all sorts of like things like that. Obviously, it's also personal projects. I have actually quite a lot of personal projects, and just look out for a lot of content next year. I got quite a bit of content on all sorts of stuff that I've been working on personally, lined up for next year. So if you guys if you guys follow my Twitter, you'll be able to see it right there. You'll see
Yeah.
all the
Well,
stuff that
yeah.
I'm
I mean,
posting.
I do
Yeah, I'm
follow
really
your Twitter, and I enjoy it. So
awesome.
I think everyone who's watching this should
Yes,
do the
yes,
same right now.
yes,
Well,
yes.
thank you so
Oh, this is
much,
awesome.
Johan Matthew,
Yeah, that's
and
fine.
I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Yes,
Well, we keep it obviously on Twitter, but
yes, yes.
next year on the builders.io platform, because
Yeah, I'll look
it will
out
be
for it.
lots of fun.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I'm excited to see the platform that you guys are aiming to make, and I'm happy to see where that goes. And yeah, I'm excited to see what's happening next year. Pretty sure you guys got a lot in the works as well.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, and a lot of branded experiences, and well, I mean, 2022 has been huge with many brands like
Yes, it's been a
Samsung
huge year.
and so many
So many
stuff.
brands, ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
Quite a lot you
it's
guys have
great
done.
because each experience is very different.
Hmm.
My favorite one would be the Nickelodeon world, because
Oh yes. Oh,
it's
Jupiter did that, didn't they?
yeah, it's huge.
Yeah,
It's so big.
fantastic.
I
Really
love it,
awesome.
and it's like a
That's
theme
awesome.
park. You can go there and meet your like SpongeBob and your favorite characters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
I'm
it's really
excited for
cool.
that. Yeah.
Mm,
All
yeah.
right.
So thank
Okay,
you so
awesome.
much, and
I'll see
have
you
a nice
guys in the future,
Christmas.
probably. Yeah.
See you
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah. All right. All right. Peace.